Nervous?
Are we recording?
Yep.
Shit.
It's on.
Well, you gotta get your notes up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, shit.
Oops, took it off the list.
Well, what a title. This is gonna be great.
Well, today's, this will be so much easier than last time, because last time we did it coming off a night shift, so.
Yeah, a few nights in, so it was a bit it's a little bit hard, and I look stoned on it. And,
You're a bit haggard.
and I don't smoke weed, so.
I mean, yeah, we've just come off the back of a training session, though, so.
Yeah, and a good weekend in Mackay, so.
Yeah, that was so
mad.
good. That was so good. The beach was just what I needed.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah,
We better dive into.
I think we cover the last podcast that we did first. You know,
Yeah.
it was really good, and I was quite surprised at the response that we got from it.
Yeah, it's pretty overwhelming, especially for myself. People reaching out and, I would say commending me on, coming out about normality, about things that aren't normal.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
sharing their own stories too.
Yeah,
That was
definitely.
Really cool.
They were sharing all their ups and downs, and like I said in the last one, if you just want to reach out, and I can only give you my advice on things that I've been through, and what I can help you or give you advice on. I can't do what psychiatrists or your own family can do sometimes, but I can help or give you advice through what I've been through.
I think people just knowing that you've put your story out there helps them to feel okay about them doing the same thing.
Yeah, and like we'll cover today is that it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. It's not normal, and what we're going to cover today is going to probably put a lot of people in a very uncomfortable position.
Yeah, I was just going to ask how do you feel like people will respond to what we're going to talk about today? Like,
Hopefully good, because it's very, very heavy, and it changed my life so much. So yeah, for anyone who knows me or who has known me throughout my life, you're going to get an insight to why I was like I was, or what happened through my childhood.
yeah. Why do you want people to know about this part of your life?
We refer back to the very first podcast. You become, united through understanding. Brings unity, understanding. And my vision for the whole time is to get people to understand that no matter what we've been through, no matter what we have in our life, we're still the same people, and people can accept that. And the sooner we get people to accept that things have happened, and to open their mind and to accept people that have things that have happened to them, sooner we can understand each other and be a lot more loving world, I suppose.
So last podcast, I want to say last week.
Last week. Yeah,
was it last week?
Yeah, fresh in, not last week, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah.
We spoke about the physical abuse that you experienced as a child.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today?
Physical abuse as well, but in the form of sexual, very violent sexual abuse that I received after my father had left.
So what age?
I would have been maybe, was it 5 to 8, I'm going to say? Around 5, 5 to 7.
So it wasn't just a one-off incident?
No, it's happened very, very regularly. I would say, we were talking about this previously, but just me and you, I would say maybe over 100 times, if you were to put a number on it. It was, yeah. Like I said in my last podcast, like my dad was the most violent man I'd ever met, still to this day, and me being a man now and obviously having sex and whatnot, I've never been as violent to someone as what this person was to me. So
you would consider the physical abuse that you got from your father more violent than the sexual abuse?
No, different forms of violence. Physical abuse, getting whacked with a belt, and is you know, when that all stops, it sort of does stop a little bit in your mind. But sexual abuse carries throughout your whole life, you know, and as we'll talk about in later podcasts, the shape it had on my life growing up. But yeah, sexual abuse is very, you know, women as well, you know, it's not just saying for men, but women as well, it's very, very traumatic.
So was it just one perpetrator, like the same person?
For most of it, yeah. There was two in the end, but just the main person, yeah, was one.
Did you know these people?
Yeah, so the first fella, he used to babysit us. He was a very close friend of our family. We would be my mum when my father left. For anyone who hasn't watched the podcast, the last one, go and watch it so you get a bit of understanding. When he left, we had a babysitter because my mum, she worked 3 jobs to keep a roof over her head. So obviously needed a babysitter. They were very close friends of our family, so obviously I would have to guess that he would be in an 18, 20, maybe 21. He was looking after us because, you know, as a family friend, you know, you would naturally sort of trust him, so to speak. Yeah.
So the fact that it happened so many times, you obviously didn't talk to anyone about it. Why?
Nah, and like, yeah.
Did you not know that
Yeah.
it was wrong, or what was your understanding of what was happening?
It was more fear. I was too scared to tell anyone because, you know, what was said to me was that if I was to speak on this or if I was to talk to anyone about this, then it would be worse. Knowing what I know now, it couldn't have got any worse.
And that was the same thing your dad had said to you?
Along the same lines, yep. It's very uncanny how the characteristics between the person is. You know, both are violent and both shouldn't be violent to kids or anyone really. But both, yeah, very, very crazy how the characteristics are very much the same.
Yep. You spoke in the last podcast about how when your dad left that you blamed yourself for that. Did you blame yourself for this happening to you?
No, because it wasn't from my father. It was from a family friend. No, I didn't blame myself for it happening. But later on in my life, I questioned if I was even gay. I was like, you know, am I gay? And I was like, nah.
Was that like much later after that happened?
Yeah,
or
I
at
would say
that
through my teenage years because
Yep.
I didn't know what was happening to me. You know, I knew that it was bad and naughty because I was told not to tell anyone. You know, and you think back now as a man, it's very sick. It makes me a little bit mad.
In the last podcast also, you spoke about how you remembered the physical violence so vividly, and that stood out as a core memory sort of in that time.
Yeah.
During this time of your life when this was happening, do you remember anything else other than that outside of...
No, not much else of my childhood I can sort of remember.
Just
the violence because it was so regular, like from my father and him leaving straight into being sexually abused.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't remember much else that was happening around that. Because, you know, every time mum would go to work, it was happening. So, you know, and just the sheer violent way it was happening, I suppose.
So when was the first time that you spoke out loud about this?
Probably when I was a bit younger, probably around, I would say 21, I spoke to one of my partners at the time about it, but just more the fact of giving them the heads up, like don't, like, you know, in a sexual way, like don't do anything around my backside, because it would trigger something in me and it would just take me back, and it's now I'm old enough to fight back. Like it's not going to be, very good for me. But for my family, I kept it just like my father. I kept it hidden till the same day I told my mum and my stepdad about what my father had done. It was the same day I told them that I was sexually abused for, you know, I would say the most moulding years of your life.
Yep. And how did it feel speaking about it with them?
It was
Like
a huge
initially?
relief. A huge relief.
Yep.
Very sad because, you know, the first thing that comes out of any parent's mouth is, "Why didn't you tell me?" You know, first thing that comes out of mum's mouth is, "Why didn't you tell me?" And, you know, anyone who knows my mum knows that she's definitely a matriarch, and it was for her to go quiet was probably eerie.
What response were you expecting? Like for her to say, "Why didn't you tell me?" Seems like a pretty standard response. Is
Yeah,
that what
that's.
you're?
I didn't really expect a response because it's what do what do you expect them to say? And all I done it for was to get them to understand what I was going through. Why I was like I was growing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why I was such a pain in the ass, to be honest.
What was happening to you at that time? Do you feel like it had an effect on how you saw yourself as a child?
Nah, because I was so young.
Do you even feel like you've had a childhood?
Nah, it got taken. Like that's what I said. I was so young. I sort of went from being, I can remember that happening to the last thing I sort of can remember throughout my life is that I was a teenager. And question if I was gay. Question if I was had brought that upon myself.
Did you feel like you had to prove that you weren't gay? Or you didn't want to believe that you were? Or like...
It was very hard to fit in.
Yep.
Like not as in through with women and that. It was just very hard to fit in. Like where I found my own place, which is that was more hard than anything, I suppose. Like I didn't have to prove that I wasn't gay because once I sort of worked it out between, like I like women or I didn't look at men and be like I like them. Like it was more the fact that my first sexual experience that I had was being violently raped.
Yeah. So, because you feel like you've had your childhood stolen from you, do you feel like you cherish, or maybe a better way to explain it is you're more protective of your children's childhood?
Yeah, definitely, I would say. But at the same time too, I look like a big kid, like myself. I like to have, like we talked about in the car today, is that life's too short to be so serious all the time, and I like to be fun. Yeah, be fun around my kids and any kids really, and I'm very protective of kids because of what happened.
Yeah.
It's always the closest people that you would never think that would do it, and and what happened when he was doing it was just I suppose.
I think play is important even without all of that. Like, I think I've said to you before, we don't stop playing because we get old. We get old because we stop playing, and I love that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So how did the sexual abuse, do you think, affected your understanding of affection in relationships? Like, was that something you had to work out? Do you feel like...
Nah, that's where I probably become affectionate. It was because, it was a big thing for me to realise that when you have sex, it doesn't have to be violent.
Yep.
And it probably made me the opposite because I'm not really a violent person in that regard.
Yeah.
I would say if anything, it made me be probably the opposite, like in relation to, in a sexual way, because like it was just so different, when you're the one, not I wouldn't say in control, but you're not a little kid and you're not having something happen where you can't fight back. It changes the dynamic of it a lot, and it sort of goes at your own pace, sort of thing.
Yeah. You've mentioned to me a particular type of non-conventional, this is a bit off topic, but a non-conventional type of therapy that has helped you greatly. Did you want to talk about that at all?
I'll talk about the therapy, but I'm not going to talk about the specific type of therapy because I don't want people to
Think it's a be-all and
think
end-all.
it's going to fix them, because it took me 20 years to keep it a secret to even go and get help. The therapy helped me a lot. Now, I let on a little bit. I did get hypnotised. The hypnotism that I had was very, very moving. I didn't really even know I was going to get hypnotised until it happened. But, if you want to believe it, you'll believe it. If you don't, you don't. But what happened to me, and I know from my own experience, and to be honest, it changed my whole life. That day I walked out of the therapy, my whole life was different, and I can't even exaggerate that. It was the way I look at life, the way I conduct myself, and the way I approach things is so much different now.
I mean, I think therapy is similar to dieting or working out. As you know, you've got to figure out what works
It is
for
a
you.
therapy, yeah.
Yeah,
It is a therapy, yeah.
yeah. You're right.
But yeah, my big overcoming was realizing that, it wasn't my fault that it happened. It wasn't, and I didn't think that back then, but I did sort of growing up. I was like, was it like, question yourself, was it your fault? Or, but then when you start having like sexual partners or whatever, that, it's a two-person thing, it has to be consensual from both people.
I mean, when it's happening, are you even questioning it, or are you just like
No.
compartmentalizing it to get to survive
Obviously,
it?
because I was obviously so young. It
Yeah.
was just more that I didn't have anything but pain. It was just so traumatically painful. Yeah, I didn't have any thoughts because it was just pain, literally. Like,
Do you think it's more shameful for men to go through these things than it is for women? Like, obviously,
Like,
there's lots of awareness
yeah.
around sexual abuse for
I
women.
think that for men, it's a shame to talk about it out loud. We feel ashamed because, and I don't want to speak too, I don't want people to look at this too one-sided because sexual abuse against women is, I'm going to be frank, it's fucking disgusting too. But as a man, it holds so much shame for us because it's not natural for us to receive sex from someone, as in be penetrated, it's not a natural thing.
Overpowered?
I understand, overpowered, like, I understand people who are homosexual and whatnot, that's their thing. But that's how they were born, they're not, from what I've got taught is that they're not born and they're like, all right, I'm going to turn gay. It's just born into them.
life,
Yeah, that's just the way they are. And,
Yeah.
for you fellas who are homosexual or, non-binary, whatever you want to call it, is, you just do you. Like, it's, I support you to do whatever you want.
Do you think that male survivors of sexual abuse are stereotyped? Like, do you think that's why men hold back from
I think that,
talking about
I
it?
think for myself, it's looked at as very, I feel myself, I can't speak for every man, but I feel as though people look at us a little bit different when they find out. Maybe it's that they feel sorry for us, or it's like I know myself from my past experiences. I feel a bit weird, as in
Do you feel a bit weird, or
Yeah,
you
that
think-
people think that I'm a bit weird, like as in, it's very hard to get for people to understand who has never had happen to them, but yeah, that's how I feel. But like I refer back to, like the to be to have happened what I did, like I'll use an example. My parents were, they were in a spa one day, probably from 10 meters away. I was up in my bedroom, and I was raped that violently in that bedroom that I had to go sit on the toilet, and there was just blood just streaming out of my backside. And for the next probably a week, like I couldn't even walk properly because of the violent nature that was happening, and that was normal. That wasn't like a one-off thing, like, or to be like, us be asleep and wake up and someone's got their hand in the back of your head, pushing your head into the bed and raping you, like, and you're so young you can't fight back. It's.
How does it feel to say that out loud? How are you
I'm
feeling
okay.
right now?
I'm okay now, but it still makes me feel sick because I was a kid and I look at my son and I think that, if someone was doing that to you, that there would be, and I expect this from any parent, there would be nothing on earth that would stop you from
Yeah.
protecting your kids.
Yeah.
They say humans have an incredible human like a superpower strength, that when they have an instinct kick in of a parent or someone's in trouble that they know, or they have a superhuman strength, and they're capable of a lot of things that you'd never ever believe. So I would how do I feel saying that now is that I feel okay now because I'm telling the world and I'm doing it for someone else.
Yep.
And no, I'm not doing it for me now. I'm doing it to get my story out to help someone.
So how long did it take you to, like, at what point did you get to peace, to get there, to be able to say, yep, I'm ready to speak about this? What did it look like?
Yeah, after I walked out of that, yeah, like I said, like, after I walked out of that 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 therapy, and I just sat in the car and I just cried. I had done this therapy, and there was times through the therapy, and I'll tell this to the world, is that one of the things that happened to me is when I got hypnotized several times. One of the things that happened was I went back to being a kid, and it happened to me, and I woke up in I had wet myself, I was crying, and this is, this year. So that's how scary it was for me to even be back there as a man, being back there. And it was, that was part of the healing process. But I walked out of that therapy, and I just sat in the car and cried. I cried for, I would say half an hour. And it was just more the fact that I was finally free of all the shit that had happened, and just to finally let it go,
So was therapy something that you initiated, or was it something that you had to do?
No, I initiated after I tried to commit suicide.
Yep.
Obviously, it's that same from my relationship breakdown that I had. I was just in a bad way.
Is it from just that, or compounding issues over
There was
a lifetime?
a lot of, you deal with that for a long time. Having to keep that a secret for so long from your parents, and, anyone who knows me and knows my parents, we have a very, very cool relationship. We have a mad relationship. My mum, we'll talk about it in later podcasts. Like, my mum's helped me with, drugs and this and that, but she's a straight shooter, and she's, my mum's, so to keep that secret was it carried a massive burden, huge burden. And once, I walked out of therapy and had a big cry, and I drove home, life was, I would say that, 2-hour trip home from Rocky that's where my whole life changed. Literally, I can't even, I'll say it and say it again.
Did it take a lot of courage to initiate the therapy process, or were you just like at that point where I'm like, well, obviously...
I was at the point, I needed to. And I remember when I tried to commit suicide, my mum, they were sewing my ear back up. So, later on we'll talk about what I actually did, but they were sewing my ear back to my head, and I was laying on the bed, and it gets me. So I was laying on the bed, and my stepfather, come in and put his hand on my leg, and I had a blanket over my face, and I was laying there because I was obviously operating on my ear. And he said to me, he's like, "I love you, mate." He's like, "Don't go anywhere." And if you're watching, old man, I love you.
You're gonna get me all...
Yeah. So, and my mum, she said to me, she said, you need to stay here, and you need to look out for your mental health, which means, if it's not from Australia, or not from where we live or whatever, it means you're going to go to a mental, checked into the mental place, and I said to my mum at that stage, I said, I had literally just got my ear sewn up. I said, if you check me into this mental place, I'm getting up and I'm walking over. There's going to be no one that's stopping me. And she said, and she begged me, she's like, "Please, mate, please, can you get some help then?" And I said, "Yep." Next day, phone on my other ear. I reached out, and, it's the best thing I ever fucking did.
That's something that I want to bring up too. Like, I see you do it, and I've seen it happen in a few podcasts that we've watched about similar sort of topics, is this... the way you make jokes about it. And when they talk about it, they're really lighthearted and laughing, and, it's such a heavy topic.
Yep.
And, like, sometimes you'll make jokes about it and I'll be like, I've got nothing.
Not about it, so to speak. It's more about, like that, it's not about, anyone who's thinking about suicide, it's not funny. It's more the fact of, I look back now, it's just such a stupid decision that I made at the time. But, like I said, it's not funny. But, anyone who is going through it, reach out. Whether it's me, a psychiatrist, your family, partners, and think about things like, you've got people who depend on you, your kids, But yeah, how, and I've talked this about this too, is that when, as a sort of, it's lighthearted, it's us saying to you that it's okay to talk about with us. You
Yeah.
know, like, especially being a man, is that, you know, we're allowing you to come in and talk
Yeah.
about it. Like, it's not, because most of the time we talk about with people is that, you know, it's a very, very hard subject for someone to relate to. You know, like, and you've said that yourself, you know, like, I don't
Yeah.
know what to say.
So is it like a don't feel sorry for me, I'm at peace with this,
Yeah,
it's okay?
of course.
Yep.
Yep, yep. And we're allowing you to come in and talk. Whereas if we kept it to where you're like, oh, I don't know what to say, and nothing was said,
Yeah.
it's very awkward, and it doesn't allow us to be able to talk about it.
Connect. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. You know, your understanding then,
Yeah.
see?
Yeah.
It
That's
refers
really,
back to the message.
yeah. Yeah. That's interesting because I think initially I sort of took it as a way to try and deflect or,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's not deflecting.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's an invite.
yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah.
Yep. So this has obviously, and I think you mentioned in this in the last podcast, has molded your life. Like you're saying
Yeah.
that this had a bigger impact on you than the physical violence.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because it was sexual.
Yeah.
Because sex is, for a lot of people, it's taboo, but as a kid, it's very like, and you're being told you're being naughty, and you're being told that, you know, this is wrong. You know, my dad was just angry, you know, so it worked out. But this had a massive more impact on me because it was happening from a man, and I become a man. You know, like I said, growing up, I questioned if I was gay. I had problems with my bowel. You know, there were times that my mum was taking me to the doctor because I had problems with my stomach. It wasn't the fact of, like,
Yeah.
you know, this and that.
Yeah.
But, you know, not funny, but a really very, very impactful moment to me, and I only told you this the other day, was that a doctor had asked my mum to go to the room one time, and he had asked me that he knew that what was happening to me wasn't caused from food or diet, or he knew that it had been a trauma that had happened to me. And he asked me, he said, has anyone touched you? And I said, no, I was just dead. And he's like, well, I can't make you say anything. He said, but if you ever want to talk about it, he said, please come back in.
Did that make you more fearful, knowing that someone could pick up on that? Fearful that it could get worse if people found out, like,
As in worse, as in...
well, because you'd been threatened by.
But I was sort of a bit like
That was a bit
it
older.
had stopped then, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Like
Yep.
see, he had left, and I was a bit older then, and you know I was having problems with my stomach, with my bowel, with obviously things that from being like so little and having that happen to you.
So how long after
I would say, you know,
were
that
you
was
struggling
probably...
with that?
Oh, I've struggled out through all the way into my 20s.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would have massive problems with my stomach, you know. And I was being tested for gluten intolerance, blah, 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 because I was having really, really bad bowel and stomach issues. But, yeah, that all stopped.
So how and why did it stop?
So he left, that's all why it stopped.
He just left.
Yeah, that's the only reason. And, yeah, that was I felt very different about all that then. Like I didn't really know how to feel. But yeah, growing up, I was a bit, yeah, it was a blessing, really.
Do you ever think about or question, like, why he did it? Like, is it...
No, I know now because he was a predator. And to anyone who's doing it, if you ever listen to this, you're putrid,
Yep.
you're disgusting. And I'm sure there'd be a lot of lads that would line up to put you in a hole.
Yep.
And I'm not being nice about that because, you know, you're taking someone's whole life away. You know, and to anyone who is having happened to them,
They should be
Please,
put in the
yeah,
same
reach
category
out.
as sociopaths, you know, like...
or they're the bottom of the bottom. People who do that at the bottom of the bottom. You can't. There's no rehabilitating people like that because they're just, you know, I see it all the time on, you know, even in Rocky, people who are let out for a sexually violent crime against children still doing the same shit.
Yeah.
Like, got to knock them off. Like, there needs to be something that's put in place really heavily to stop it because they're still getting away with it.
Yeah.
You know, then they go to jail and they sit with other putrid fellas who It's just
Yeah.
those maggots of society.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole other conversation
Yeah,
when it comes
that's
to
another podcast coming up.
the justice system
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
all of
but
that.
yeah, so yeah,
So this event has molded your life more so than that.
yeah,
Which is going to be a whole other conversation I think we save for another podcast,
yeah,
is how
definitely.
it's affected
Yeah,
your
Yeah.
life decisions after that.
probably the next podcast release will be, starting the transition of what it looked like for me after it. How I navigated my life with being a victim of over 100 rapes. And yeah, in the most violent ways you can be, raped, I suppose, as a kid.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Just want to double check that I've got everything. Yeah.
But yeah.
Again, like last week's podcast, I don't even know how to conclude on that. Like, it's just so... Yep. Messes with my head.
Thank you
In
for
that-
giving me the space to talk about it.
Of course.
Love you.
Love you too.
We've done it.
Again. How you feeling? I feel like that one wasn't as long.
Yeah, fuck. I need to have a cry.
Do that.